Hello everyone, Migs here again, and today we're continuing with creating your own personal preference mod. In the second part of the series, Modding for Beginners, Create Your Own Mod, we're going to explore how to set up the country folder and with it the speed limits file. If there's enough time, we'll get to the world folder and tweak the traffic rules as well. If not, I'll add that later to the next video, so don't worry. With all that said, let's begin. Okay, so as you can remember from our last video, we created the folder structure with the dev folder, the country, and the UK, and there was this files that we left in there. But we are going to now revert back to the original. We're going to delete this folder, but before I do that, let me open up the base folder and show you. These are all the vanilla game countries that's in EuroTruck. One of the mods that actually portray this very well is Jazzycat's AI traffic mod. It actually has all the relevant countries because this mod applies to all the countries, and that's why it's all in there. So I'm going to show you an easy way of getting everything done in one fell swoop, and it won't be that difficult. It's actually quite simple, but I'm going to show you a few tricks on how to get it done the easy way. All right, so back to basics. Let's go to, all right, we're in your My Mods folder, go into dev, and let's delete the country folder. That's gone. All right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to close this one because I don't need it, but I am going to open up my file location of my EuroTruck folder where the mods are. Okay. If you don't have it, go download this mod. I'll put a link in the description below so you can see where it is, but this will make things a lot easier for you. So once you've downloaded it, or if you do have it, open it up and let's go into the dev folder and let's look for country, right? With country highlighted, left click and drag it onto your desktop. Now you have country on your desktop. We no longer need his mod. Okay, so that can close, and you can see nothing's been altered in his mod, nothing's been changed. What we now do is we open up this country folder, and you can see immediately, compared to the base game, the base folder, if you open up the dev country, there's 52 items in here versus 105 items. And these do not include the SUI files. So it shows you the big difference. Right. So that's the comparison. And having this in your game, in future, as you update your game, as you add more maps to your game, you'll notice that you won't have to always change your mod structure. It will be done automatically from the beginning because this will apply to all these countries. Let's close the base folder up. I'm going to move that up so we can see what's going on here. Country stays there. All right. Once you open this up, you'll see there's that's Jazzycat's file structure for the spawn ratios of his game. But this does not apply to us. We just want the countries. Okay, we just want those folders. We don't want what's in them. But now, to remove every single country's file, it's a tedious little exercise. Okay, especially when you've got 105 of them. It's going to take you a while. Let me show you a quick and easy way to do this. Basically, you have to write a script in the text editor. I've already done that for you. What I'll do is I'll post this at the bottom of the description as well. This is the code that you need to delete all those files in one go. Right, so you see the traffic.sii, highlight that name, Control-C to copy, highlight, and say Control-V to paste. Okay, now you've got that exact file structure, you've got it in here. What you now have to do, File, and you have to save as. Come down to text documents. We'll use the delete script, and you click on all files, and you have to save it as a bat file. So this will change to bat. There we go. And you save. Once you've saved it, this will appear. Your bat extension will appear as a file. You now have to double click it to run it. If you now go back to your country file, you see that it's empty. You can go to any location and everything is empty. All of them. All of them are empty. Okay, so now your folder structure is correct. Now we just have to fill up these folders with the correct files. So I'm just going to move this one out the way for us for a second, because what we now need is the base folder, the vanilla game. In the country file, you'll see that these are still here. And remember, anything you change in this base folder is permanent. So please do not alter anything in here, because then you will have a problem. You'll have to redo that as showed in the first video to create this folder. You'll have to re-extract everything from your bin files. But anyway, back into Austria, we need traffic and we need speed limits. License plates, like I told you, we're not going to be messing around with that, so we're not going to need those. But I want you to highlight the two, left click and drag it onto your desktop. Okay, there they are. We can now close the base folder. Now that you've done that, you have to go into your different files that you want to tweak. Now, if we open up speed limits, you're going to see that is the generic file, original from the base folder. These are the original values for the game. So we are going to tweak these values. Right, now you can see that all these have been changed. Remember, the values that you put in here is all up to you. I've put the values quite high. You can see 200s and 300s, but there's a reason for it. I do this because I have a mod in here with the sports cars, and some of them do go by quite quickly. Some of them can do 300 km an hour. It actually looks amazing when they come flying past you, but it's not always. So it's just to give diversity in the game. So you are free to change those values to any number that you like. But anyway, I've got that sorted, so I'm going to close this now. That one is done. The next one we're going to do is the traffic.sii. You can see from the vanilla one, this is to do with all your vanilla AI vehicles. So I've adjusted everything. You will notice that a lot of these have got the double forward slash a lot of times. As the game evolved, as I saw what happens in the game and how it happens and how it affects gameplay, I've changed it various times. But every time I change it, I leave the original value in case I need to revert back and know which value that is. So the only values that count are these ones. Because I don't want to see these ones all the time, I've put it down to 0. Somehow the game still recognizes these vehicles to a point that they still do appear, but they appear relative to the ratio that it's supposed to be. Okay, you will see that most of these things are set to 0, even though I've used the trucks, I've left them, and certain values. There used to be that. The traffic duck, that is actually the Citroen 2CV. It's called the duck in the game, and it's set to 0, but you will see it spawn every now and then. It just limited the amount of times that it spawned now. What you've got to do is, once you've changed all these things, obviously save it. I've saved it already, so I'm going to close this up. And now we've got the two files that we are going to need to put into the country folder, which is now empty at the moment, but this is just the country folder that's on my desktop. It's this one over here. Now, we have to create a copy script that will place these individual files into every single folder in the country folder. You're going to take these files individually and copy them to the folder. Let's do one at a time so you can get a feel for it. So I'm going to say copy here. Now we have to write a copy script which will enable this file to be copied into each folder at the same time. And to do that, it's called, I've written a code here. This is the code that you'll need. I'll paste it in the link below so you can also get it. It's very simple. What we now need to do, the only thing in these scripts that you have to alter is basically the description of the file, which appears at the end. And that's always after the country / that's what you'll get. All right. So in this case, it's called speed limits. So if you highlight that, Control-C to copy, and you come down and you highlight up to the .sii, because remember, we didn't copy the SII, and you say Control-V to paste. You have now set it up to copy this file into all these folders. So you say File, Save As, All Files, and you're going to say copy script.bat. You say save. It's going to ask you to overwrite. Well, if you edit, it will overwrite, but okay, I've done it. Now, once you've done that, you'll see that a bat file will appear on your desktop. All you need now to do is to double click it and it will run. A black screen will open up and it will tell you one file copied, one file copied. It will do this 105 times. But if you go now into those folders, you'll see your speed limits are there. You can go into any folder and the speed limits is there. And it's the correct one. Not like you can see. There it is. It's the one that's been modified. Okay, so let's get out of that. The next thing we need to do, remove it from here. So delete. The next one we're going to do is the traffic.sii. You have to right click, drag it and say copy here. Highlight the name, Control-C to copy. and you come here to the file, to the script at least, and you highlight that section, Control V to paste. There. Now you've created that file name, traffic.sii, traffic.sii. Again, you have to file, save as, and the same thing, save as all files, copy script.bat, copy script.bat. There we go. Save. It's been saved. Now all you have to do is to run the copy script.bat file. Again, you'll see this time it's a traffic.sii that has been put in there. If we open up a folder, both those files are in there. Good. Let's go to the end, delete that one. You don't need it anymore. Now your folder structure is complete. You've got what you need in there. You've got your speed limits, plus you got your traffic.sii, and you've set it up to the values that you need. Okay. Now that that is done, we can close that, we can close this. I'm going to remove these, I don't need them anymore. Take your country folder and move it to your def folder. So if we go into my mods, def folder, description, manifest, my mods, you know how that works. If you go into your def folder, if you go into your country folder, everything is there. So you are finally done with your country folder. Now let's go back to the beginning. Once we're here, now we've got to convert this to a file that SCS will recognize as a mod. To do that, in the folder, highlight all the files and folders, right click on that and say add to our archive. Guys, remember, if you do get stuck in any way, just go back, rewind the video a bit, and just check what you're doing. Maybe you missed a step or two. It's very simple to do, but it's also very easy to make a mistake. Okay. Now, once we've got the archive opened, there's three things you need to do. Three things you need to focus on. One is the name. Two is the archive format. And three is the compression method. Those are the only three things you need to worry about when archiving and creating the mod. So let's start. Don't start with your name. Start with the zip. Start in the middle. If you start with the name, once you alter this, that will change again. So it's always a zip format. Okay. The zip format, because EuroTruck recognizes SCS files, you change it to SCS, and then your compression method has to be store. Anything other than that, the archive will not compress it correctly for EuroTruck. If you use any of these two, it will not compress it accurately. So you need to use zip. You need to alter the archive name to the file extension SCS, and you have to use the compression method of store. Anything other than that, this will not work. Okay. Once you've done that, double check your work, make sure that you got it exactly right, and you say, okay. Boom. Suddenly there we got a mod. I'm sure you recognize that. That is familiar from your mod manager. I'm sure you've seen the files that look like this. The next step is, and it's very simple, go back to your EuroTruck location where you keep your mods. So that will be under your documents. EuroTruck Simulator 2. Go into mods. In your mod folder, we are going to now move the mods from there. Right click, move, drag it across, and say move here. Okay, it's popped up into your mods. Your mod is now active in your mod manager location. It's still not active in the game. The next step for that is we have to start up the game. Okay, once you're in the game, this is what you're going to be met with. Let's go into mod manager. Open that up. And bang on target. Here we go. Double clicking on that activates your mod. There it is, my mods. Click on the information. There we go. Active. Category is other. Package name is my mods. Author is Mr. Modder. Again, no cheesier than that. Version 1. And there's a description of what we will be doing in this mod. So now you can close that up. You can see that the mod is active. It's working. It's there. It's accepted. All you have to do now is confirm changes. And you're ready to start the game. We do not need to continue now. I will get out of this, and we're going to go back to the desktop. Okay, so we're back to the desktop, and you can see there's my mods. It's in your mods folder. We're not going to need that for now, so let's just close this one up. Next thing we're going to do now. Oh, and by the way, remember the country folder that we created? We don't need that anymore as well. You can delete that. Right, now that's gone. Let's go open the base folder up. There it is. We're going to def. Do the same over here. The next thing we're going to look at, remember in the beginning of the video we spoke about doing the world and the traffic rules file. So open up world, and we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. We're going to look for traffic rules. There we go. This is the one. This one basically tells you what. Remember, we're dealing with speed limits at the moment. We're not dealing with anything else. Speed limits and a bit of spawn ratio. But this traffic rules is basically what it says. The rules of the road. And it will also basically give you the speed limits for every speed sign. And that's what we're going to focus on now. We're going to change what the speed limits are going to be compared to what the speed limit signs show. So if the speed limit, the traffic sign says 50 kilometers an hour maximum speed, what you alter that to, you can make that 100, which means that AI will see their traffic sign 50, allowing them to do 100. Without wasting any more time, I'm going to jump right in and I'm going to take you through the whole thing step by step. Okay guys, let's find the traffic rules file. All right, this is from your base folder. Traffic rules, remember, this is our Bible. We don't want to touch it. So right click and copy onto your desktop. Copy here. There we go. Let's close the base folder. Close it up so there's no interference with that. Okay, now that we've got the traffic rules onto your desktop, double click it so we can open up in the Notepad editor. You'll notice that there's two files here. I'm going to right click on this one and say move to other view so we can split the view. All right. Now, what I've got you on the left is the file that I've already modified, and this is the original file. But this is the file now that is going to be going into your world folder that we're going to create in your dev folder. Okay, but we'll get to that point. For now, we're just going to focus on modifying this file. That's the one that we just moved out of the base folder. And this is the modified one here. And I'll show you where everything gets changed and how it gets changed. A little trick, if you guys, because we got the two screens, to move each one individually, you're going to lose track of where you are in the code. So very simple. Up here, there's a tag where you can synchronize the vertical scrolling. If you click that, if you scroll, you see they both move at the same time now. Okay, so that's a very nifty add-on to have, and it helps with coding and to see where and how, what you're missing and what you should be seeing. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down to my first point of interest, which is done here. All right, you will see that the speed limit here says 5, and the parameter is 5. I've changed it to 200. Right? So you go and change it to whatever you want. Remember again, AI will not always do the speed. They will do what you do to set them to drive the way you want them to drive. Okay? Just putting it out there. Don't think that this is a racing game. It's not. It's just to give them the leniency to drive the way they feel they need to. Okay, so I've adjusted all the speed limits to 200. You scroll down, you can see all of them are 200, where these ones are actual reflections of what the speed limit signs say. I've adjusted them all to 200, including the trucks. The minute we get to 120, you'll see I've changed it to 250, because this already starts applying to expressways, motorways, high density, or multi-lane roads. And you can see at the 130, I've changed that to 300. That's most likely where you're going to see those sports cars, if you have the mod, going like crazy. Basically your autobahns, where you'll see multiple lanes of the slow and the middle lane will always have your density traffic, and then you'll see that your fast lane is when these guys rocket past you, which is nice to see. It's actually a very true reflection. I've never been to Germany, but I've seen videos on how it happens, and well, this comes very close to the reality of that. And then you'll see that the speed limit for the trucks, I've also adjusted from 100 to 200. So that is when it comes to, as far as it goes when it comes to speed limits. Then if you scroll further down the game, none of these are relevant. Basically what these do is it just allows you, so the traffic rule for no cars and the no car area, if there's an area that the vanilla game doesn't allow cars in, if you change this to 1, you'll suddenly you'll see cars spawning in that area. This applies to trucks and buses and so on. But you get the idea. If you, by manipulating these numbers, just read behind that. It gives you a good indication of what it will do. It's not like it's an unknown. It explains to you very clearly what goes on over there. So I'm just going to scroll down to the next. Oh, before we carry on, you'll see that from here, bus custom, the lines they're not in order anymore. Okay. What I've done, border area, high traffic density, I have taken additional rules. So according to the vanilla game, a high traffic area and a border area only allows the cars for high density and trucks for high density. It will not allow anything else. So if you have the cars that drive in the urban area, they won't appear. If you have trailers that drive in the urban area, they won't appear. Trucks, police, medical, fire, those will not appear in border areas. But I want an all-inclusive game experience, so I've added all these to that, to the vanilla version. And you can get these ones by scrolling further down in the game. Here they are. So basically, highlight the whole thing, Control C, and then you just highlight all of these again, and you press Control V. And then suddenly, the files are identical. And you can do this to every single section that you want to tweak. I wouldn't do it to the trains, okay? Especially the no spawn one, the disable the train spawn, so leave that one alone. But you can see from the very high traffic density, that's complete. That's original, by the way. And the high densities are all the same. But here and there, if you go through it carefully, you will see that some of them can be tweaked. I wouldn't worry about these ones because that's already been changed up above. The 90 limit shows 200, so you don't need to change that anymore. Okay. Traffic rule allow slow. If you want slow traffic in your game, currently set to 1 in vanilla. Okay, so if you want slow traffic in your game, leave that as 1. If you don't want slow traffic in your game, leave that at 0. Just remember, some of the AI, the engine power, torque, and speed limit, or maximum speed allowed for the AI, still determine whether that AI can drive fast or not. Okay, so even if you disable this, you're still going to get certain vehicles going slowly. Road events happening, where there's a yield event happening. So just because you've set it to 0 doesn't mean that you'll never have slow traffic again. It just means that it limits the proportionality of it happening. Okay, so bear that one in mind. The next one we're going to look at is the speed bump limit. Every time there's a speed bump in the road, especially if you go to certain maps, I'm going to talk about Brazil in particular, every second corner there's a speed bump, especially in the cities. So it gets frustrating. The guys slow down to a halt. And that to me was very frustrating, so I've changed that to 200. So they will still drive the normal speed. They won't slow down for the speed bumps. Again, you don't have to change it if you don't want to, but it's there. Right. Traffic rule train stop. I don't know if you get to a level crossing and suddenly the train decides to stop and it sits there forever and you have to wait. So that bugged me a bit, so I changed it. The short stop, I left it at 10 seconds. The long stop, I've changed it to 15 seconds where it was 60. The stop forever is now 30 seconds where that was almost infinite. I've limited that so that if it does stop, it will get moving again. You want to get some motion in the game. You don't want it to freeze out there and you got no control over it. And that is basically it for the traffic rules. All right, so basically once you've done that, you need to save your file. Once you saved your file, you can close. Okay, so once your file's been closed, it will appear over here. What we now need to do is to open up the base file again, folder at least. Go into def. Now we have to look at folder structure. The one that we're looking for is world, so you will come here into your def folder, create a new folder. We're going to call this world. Remember to keep it lowercase, because that's exactly the same way it's been done over there. And let's go in there. If you go in, you'll see that the traffic rules file is in the world folder. So by association, we can move this one into the world folder. Move here. Good. Right, let's close the base file up. We can close this. Once that is done, go back to the beginning. Now we have to update the mod. And to update the mod, we got to re-archive the mod. So highlight everything, right click, add to archive. Again, zip, change your file extension to SCS, and your compression method to store. Once you've checked all those three, say, okay, it's been done. There it is. That's what we have. Now you have to go back into your Eurotruck folder location where you keep your mods. So it will be documents, Eurotruck 2, mod folder, and we have to look for the my mods. There we go. What I would suggest is delete this one, which is the original one. So delete, get rid of it, because remember we've altered it. Right click on this one and move it into the mod manager, the mod folder. Move here. You can see it's moved. This is now empty. So that means that the updated version is now in your mod folder. Now, if we go back into the game, we will see how it changes. All right, so here we go. Okay, once back into the game, click on your mod manager. And you'll notice that the my mods is still there. Okay, so everything's all good. Okay, we're not going to confirm change because nothing's been changed. You escape out of that. And now all you got to do is to start the game. And it should run quite smoothly. And as simple as that, we're back into the game. Let's go take it for a drive and see if there's any changes in the way the AI behave. Okay, I'm just going to move out of the truck. And I'm just going to be watching what the AI are doing. Remember, this is still vanilla game. There's only one mod in this game. And to see any changes happening, you'll have to add more mods. I've actually, because I've put the spawn ratio on a lot of vehicles to 0, what we're going to see mostly now is trucks. But once we have the other mods set up, you'll notice a huge change in the way that the game works. But for now, this is just a quick overview. I'm going to fly over and let's just get a view. Let's drive down a bit and see if we can respawn. Like I said, it's only trucks that are spawning at the moment because we've set all the AI vehicles to 0. As you can see, oh, there we go. We've got a road event happening over here. And there's a couple of AI spawning. There's a Golf. Okay, so the mod is working. We just don't have a high speed yet because we have not tweaked the AI's maximum speed values. That we will do in a future video, maybe the very next one. As you can see, nothing out of the ordinary. Everything is working fine, and that's what we wanted. Okay, there's a Mustang. Believe me, once we're done tweaking with these guys, those Mustangs are going to be moving a lot quicker. Okay guys, we're back on the desktop, and as you can see, the mod is now working. There's no game issue. The game doesn't crash, so it means that it does work. What we will be doing in our next video, because this one's been quite a long one, apologies for that, but it's the only way to get the information out there. We will be then delving into getting the AI to perform, getting the speeds up. That's going to take a bit of work, but we'll cover that in the next video. So, we've come to the end of this tutorial, but you can look forward to more tips and tricks in the next one. If you've enjoyed this video, please like it and hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to see me cover other topics, leave a comment down below and I'll add it to my list of videos to create. And that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope to see you on the next one.